What's going on YouTube? This is your boy Nigerian Prince. How y'all doing out there in YouTube land? Good? Okay. So there's a convention coming up in my city called MegaCon, and it's the biggest anime convention in the state of Louisiana. It was also my first ever anime convention, and I've had a lot of good memories there. However, this is unfortunately going to be the last MegaCon, and I really wanted to go all out this time and attempt a real cosplay. Now, I've cosplayed before and made props before. My first MegaCon, I made a life-size version of the Dragon Slayer sword from Berserk, which was super annoying to have to carry around. I actually couldn't even take the elevator. I had to climb up 20 flights of stairs just to get back to my hotel room, which is it was a 3-day leg day, let's just say that. And for my second, I cosplayed as the Angry Arthur meme, which was fun, but this time I wanted to do something more swaggy, something more cool, something that requires time and effort and energy, something that I could look back on and just be like, yeah, I did that. So I decided to cosplay the swaggiest and coolest character that I know of, Inosuke from Demon Slayer. He's my favorite character. I just feel like he carries the show. He's just so badass. And I really wanted to do him justice. So on top of making his cosplay, I'm also going to be doing a training regimen at the same time to bulk up and give my cosplay that extra authentic edge, that je ne sais quoi. The training regimen I'm going to be doing is called the Amen Ra regimen. It's a very intense routine developed by this vegan bodybuilder guru, Dr. Noon S. Amen Ra. He's pretty cool. He's like this spiritual guru, but he also won a world record in deadlifting. I really wanted to try this routine out because it was very interesting to me. It had this dietary and spiritual aspect to it that I haven't seen in a workout plan before. It entails a 23-hour fast, a morning cardio workout, an evening weight training workout, after which I have to eat between 1,700 and 2,500 calories, daily meditation, and a lot of tea, which is a lot to do in a day, especially when you have a tight schedule to make an entire costume within the span of about a month. I know this isn't going to be easy, and that it's going to take a lot of commitment to pull off both the cosplay and training off within a month, but don't underestimate my ability to motivate myself with very tight deadlines. Chris Travis ain't got nothing on my crunch time. No one's gonna get that. Is Chris Travis even still relevant? Okay, but without further ado, let's get right into the video. So when I first went into this regimen, I didn't actually ease into it at all, mainly when it came to eating and fasting. The regimen says that if you're really hungry, you can eat a snack, and that if you can't eat your entire meal within an hour, you can add 1 to 2 hours as needed. But I just dived headfirst into it the first day. I did the full fast and didn't eat anything until 6 o'clock, and I managed to down about 2,200 calories worth of food within the hour time span. And my stomach just wasn't ready. She just wasn't. I was so bloated, I literally looked like a cartoon character. All I could do was just sit on my couch waiting for my food baby to go down a little bit. I wouldn't have bloated that badly if I was actually drinking tea throughout the day, which also makes fasting 10 times easier. But I didn't have any at the time, so my stomach was just completely empty before I ate. And eating a large meal when your stomach has accumulated a bunch of gas from you not eating is just a recipe for disaster. After most of it had gone down, I'm pretty sure I came down with superitis or something, because I passed out then and there on the couch. I couldn't even be bothered to go to my bed. And yeah, that was my first day. So yeah, needless to say, I pushed myself super hard the first day, which when you think about it, is in the spirit of Inosuke, right? So really, it just helped me to embody my cosplay more. But if you're not cosplaying Japanese Tarzan, I don't recommend it because it's just unnecessary. Take it slow. Your stomach will thank you for it. The biggest changes I felt during the regimen is that I stopped feeling hangry after about a week. At first, all I could think of in between working on the cosplay and dinner was eating, but at some point it just stopped. But like, the feelings of hunger didn't stop necessarily, but my constant attention towards those feelings did stop. I guess you could compare it to ignoring a mosquito bite until you don't feel it anymore. Like, it's still there, but you're not worrying about it so much, so it kind of just goes away. I think it was pretty cool because it taught me that your body can feel a certain way and you can have thoughts that will run through your mind about that, but you don't have to become those thoughts and feelings. I think sometimes we take for granted how, as humans, we can easily detach ourselves from those things with proper meditation and focus. I personally believe that when all is said and done, we aren't really our bodies and we aren't really our minds. We're kind of just consciousness, just chilling and vibing the ether, you know? And that consciousness has infinite potential. Like, bruh, we can do whatever we want. Also, just in general, I felt a lot more in tune with my body. I felt more aware of the state that my body was in and how much energy it had at a given moment. I guess because my body was in more of a state of routine, there was more contrast between different times of the day. Like, I could really feel the difference between when my body was in the break fast stage, you know, right after I wake up, and in the evenings after my digestion had calmed down and I'm ready to work out and eat. So long story short, your body starts to work more like clockwork. Amin Ra, the bodybuilder, also explains that fasting promotes the release of a chemical that grows the hippocampus of your brain, which helps with learning and memory. So yeah, not eating makes you smarter, I guess. He also says that after a time, you won't need to sleep as much as you usually do. And I did actually start waking up much earlier, but that was probably because of how crazy obsessed I was over making the cosplay. Also, biggest thing that I learned is that I love tea. Tea is so good.
There are two kinds of law on the earth, as I've said. One is called civil law, which is the law of the land, and one is called maritime admiralty, which is called the law of water.
Hands down, my favorite part of this whole thing was making the cosplay. I got super invested into it, like to the point that I couldn't even work on my other videos in my downtime because I just couldn't keep the cosplay out of my head. I wish I had more time because then I could have maybe done the swords and worked more on the pants and shoes, but I was still super proud of it. My biggest focus was getting the boar mask. I knew going into this that I had to make the mask myself. It just didn't sit right with me settling for one of those ugly $40 Amazon masks, and I really wanted to make it my own since it was my first real cosplay. I pretty much used this Inosuke mask tutorial as my Bible while I was making this. Their version of it was just so amazing, so I followed their guide pretty closely. I started the base of the mask with cardstock. I used this program called Pepakura to print out a flattened version of a 3D model that I bought off of Etsy. I cut it out with a cutting tool, scored the folds, and glued the pieces together with a hot glue gun. While I was gluing it together, I kept burning myself. I chose not to wear gloves because it was just too hard to hold the pieces in the positions that I wanted them to, and I didn't want it to look janky. So I figured a little skin scorching was a necessary evil. I mean, burns are temporary. A good cosplay is a lot less temporary. After that, I paper machéed it with water and flour. I chose flour over glue because I wanted it to be extra sturdy, and also I wasn't sure how much paper I had, so it was nice to know that I only needed to paper mache one layer to get good support for the mask. It was so messy though, it was so messy. After that, I painted it over to give it a nice base. The fur was gonna go over it anyway. I think those little details is what really sets your creations apart, just because of how much extra energy you're putting into it. I glued some ping pong balls to metal mesh for the eyes. I ran through the whole box of ping pongs trying to get the right look on the irises and the pupils. After I glued them together, I used nail polish to give them a glossy look. Literally. And I molded the tufts out of clay. The fur was the most nerve-wracking part for me because I literally did it the day before the convention, and because it was the part everyone would see, so I really wanted to make sure I was careful when I was doing this. I ordered some fur off of Amazon and was gonna use that, but I didn't realize I used the wrong payment method until a day later, and so I thought I was like screwed. I went to a bunch of costume and hobby shops and I couldn't find the color I was looking for in the fur, but this girl at this one shop gave me the idea to just paint white fur beige like how I wanted, and she was even cool enough to give me some white fur. People are awesome. The fur was a lot easier than I thought it would be, although I got super impatient and I put the fur on before the paint was completely dry, so I had to comb it a lot to get all the excess paint off. MegaCon was a blast. I was so glad that I was able to get the mask done in time. Like, nothing compares to wearing something that you made yourself. I found it pretty easy to get into Inosuke's character, you know, just be wild, and how could you not when you're walking around shirtless? I actually ended up signing up for the cosplay contest when a cosplay repair volunteer suggested it, and I was so glad that I did that. Oh man, walking up onto that stage, the second I got onto there, I just became Inosuke. It was the coolest thing ever. It really made all the time and effort that I put into it just worth it.
Next up, we have the Nigerian prince himself as Inosuke from Demon Slayer!
Probably.
It's crazy thinking back on it because there were only 2 spots left in the cosplay competition, and if I would have never gone to get my cosplay fixed, I would have never thought to even sign up. So yeah, funny how life works sometimes. I also ended up being a part of a Demon Slayer panel because I was the only Inosuke in the room. And I guess, you know, since I looked so authentic with it, you know, they just had to bring me up, you know, how could they not? Apparently I stole the show according to the panel organizers. Although most of the questions I was asked though was just the girls wanting me to flex. So yeah, it was nice to know that my trading paid off. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. It means a lot to me. Be sure to drop a like if you enjoyed my content and subscribing if you want to see more. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, especially if you have feedback. I'm always looking for ways to improve. But with that being said, I'll catch y'all later. Peace.